Alright everyone, today we're playing Overwatch 2 in 2025. We're going to see how the game holds up. Well, technically it's 2 years later because 2023 was when Overwatch 2 was quote-unquote released, but it really is a glorified update for the original Overwatch rather than a standalone sequel. So I consider it Overwatch, even though it's obviously gone through a lot of changes, especially going from 6v6 to 5v5. That was a huge change that a lot of people are still arguing about to this day. The average Overwatch player hates it, and yeah, there were a lot of things that they did that pissed off a good chunk of the player base, especially the whole rug pull that they did with like, well, we're doing Overwatch 2 so we can have all this PvE content we're going to release, and then they end up backtracking on that, being like, oh, actually, we're not gonna focus on PvE anymore. Yeah, it's canceled. So that was another thing that also made a lot of people upset. But yeah, for many people, it just doesn't feel like the Overwatch that they knew and that they fell in love with and put thousands of hours into. Me personally, I still enjoy Overwatch 2 in its current form. Not quite as much as I did back in 2016, 2017, during the peak of my interest in Overwatch back in the day on Xbox One. Yeah, it's obviously a different vibe now, and it doesn't quite feel the same. But I think it still is a pretty fun game if you don't take it too seriously. If this is a game, if you lived and breathed Overwatch, yeah, it's hard to see the game in its current state. Like, for someone like me that's okay just playing a couple of games here and there and not getting too upset or worked up over all the little changes that they've made, then it's like, yeah, I mean, I can kind of take it or leave it at this point. I mean, 2016 was a very long time ago, and as much as I wish that there was a way to play the game in its original state, the Overwatch 1, you know, like if they did like Overwatch Classic, like we have Fortnite OG and World at War Classic, if they did something like that with Overwatch, I guarantee you have more people playing that than current Overwatch 2. That being said, Overwatch 2 still has a lot of players. You get about 20 to 30,000 daily players on Steam, but there's obviously even more people who don't have the game on Steam, but have it on Battle.net, which was the platform that it originally was on, and it wasn't released on Steam until 2023. So you probably have somewhere around like 50,000 daily players on PC. You have a lot of players still on console. Now, crossplay is a little tricky. It's very complicated compared to your average PvP shooter. I mean, it's not really that complicated. It's basically input-based matchmaking when it comes to getting into games between PC and console players. If you're a PC player that's playing on controller, you get matched with the console pool, as they call it. But if you're playing on keyboard and mouse, you can't play with controller players unless the controller player decides to party up with you and you get put into the PC pool together. But only for non-competitive game modes, which makes sense because Overwatch is a game that is built on the esports aspect of it being a very competitive game. So having it where you could just have keyboard and controller players mixed together, even during competitive matches and ranked, yeah, that would not work. So the crossplay, it's a little convoluted. It's not as straightforward. I mean, it's easy in terms of, like, if you have a Battle.net account, to just add your friends on Battle.net, and then you'll be able to play with each other, kind of like with Fortnite, you need an Epic Games account, and pretty much every other game that has crossplay, you need to have a third-party account. But if you have the Battle.net account, yeah, you just add your friends on Battle.net, and you can match up, and it's easy in that regard. But yeah, I think crossplay is definitely a huge benefit to this game, especially around 2021, 2022, right before crossplay was first implemented to Overwatch. There was a lot of feeling that Overwatch, despite only coming out a few years before in 2016, it already felt very dated compared to a lot of the more popular shooters at the time, like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex, etc. They all had crossplay. Overwatch kind of felt like the odd man out in that regard. So it's good that they actually added that in and implemented it, and the way they implemented it was very smart and actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Overwatch 2 is overall a game that I still have fun with, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I know it's the popular thing to hate on, But think about it this way. There are not very many games that are almost a decade old that has probably over 100,000 daily players across all platforms, but Overwatch does, still. Despite all the hate, despite everything that people say about it online, despite all the YouTube videos people keep coming out about, the game being dead, and the game's cooked, Blizzard's cooked, yeah, no, couldn't be further from the truth. You're like, pretty much anything that's not Call of Duty or Fortnite would kill to have player counts like Overwatch 2 does in 2025. So, haters be damned, the game is still a lot of fun, despite its issues, and it's, it's not the same, and it's not going to be quite as good, it's not going to feel as satisfying as the original experience did in 2016. I think we could all agree with that and understand that, but at the same time kind of move on from that and accept the game for what it is, and still enjoy playing it. I just ignore most of the online controversy, like even with the monetization system and everything. I don't care about all the cosmetic stuff. That's exactly what it is. It's not pay to win or anything like that, so I couldn't give less of a shit about any of that, about the loot boxes, about the battle passes, and everything else. I just, like, I am a filthy casual. I will admit that. So if you're, like, super hardcore, then you're gonna have all these nitpicks and problems, and I'm sure I'll see plenty of them in the comments below. Me being positive about Overwatch 2 last year in 2024 got me a lot of trouble, and the video received way more dislikes than likes, so we'll see if the same thing repeats here, but I would recommend it. I definitely would. I know Marvel Rivals is currently the hot hero shooter right now, but it's going through a phase. Eventually, it's going to decline, and people are going to make videos talking about how that game is dead, and the cycle will repeat. But for a game like Overwatch that's so iconic and still is, it's always fun to go back and play from time to time, and still true in 2025.